Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm continuing my series on how to play Heroclix, and I'm going to continue on the powers and abilities, and today I'm going to go over the defense abilities. And the defense abilities are Super Senses, Toughness, Defend, Combat Reflexes, Energy Shield Deflection, Barrier, Mastermind, Willpower, Impervious, Regeneration, and Invulnerability. So hopefully you've been following my videos and you are caught up to right now, and you know the attack powers, and you know the movement of powers, and you've followed the how to play tutorial how to play the game. And this is the part where I go over the defense abilities, and my next part would be the damage abilities. So enough of that, let's get into the tutorial and start off with Super Senses. Alright, so let's go over how Super Senses works. Wolverine has that as his defensive power, and John Stewart is going to shoot Wolverine. He has one target and his attack is 11. Wolverine's defense is 17. So we have to roll to see if he attacks and hits. 11, he needs a 6. He rolls an 8, so that hits. So, as the power reads, if the character is hit by the attack, you roll 1d6. If you hit a 5 or a 6, you evade the attack and there's no damage being dealt. He rolls a 6, so Wolverine does not get hit by the attack and he does not take any of the damage. John Stewart has 3 damage, but he also has Range Combat Expert, which would make it 5 damage for range. But Wolverine dodges the attack, so he takes no damage, and then John Stewart would have to put a token on him, and that turn would be over. But if Wolverine rolled a 3 for his Super Senses roll, then he would take 5 damage because of the Range Combat Expert, and he would be on that clip. One thing that I want to cover with Super Senses, it's dealt with before the damage is dealt. So let's say the White Lantern Sinestro, because he has 2 targets, can target both of them when he does a ranged combat attack. So now, if he hits, because he's got a 12 attack, 17 and 17. Let's just say he rolls a 6 and he hits them. So, before the damage is dealt, you would roll Super Senses. If Wolverine would hit Super Senses, then all the damage would have to go to Superman. But if Wolverine misses, then you could deal the 5 damage between the both of them. So that's another thing that you need to learn about Super Senses, is once the attack is made and you hit the target and you have multiple guys, then you roll for Super Senses and then you see if he dodges the attack. If he dodges the attack, then you have to give the damage to the other characters. If both characters have Super Senses and if both characters make the Super Senses rolls, then no damage is dealt. Alright, so the next defensive power that I want to cover is Toughness. Damage dealt to this character is reduced by 1. Superman has Toughness, so anytime that he gets hit by an attack, he would reduce 1 of the damages. Barry Allen has 3 damage, so if Barry hit Superman, Superman would only take 2 clicks of damage. Barry's gonna roll and see if he hits. Barry rolls a 7, so that's an 18. That hits Superman. Barry does 3 damage. Superman has Toughness, so he only takes 2 clicks of damage. Toughness is very simple. You just reduce everything by 1. Alright, so the next defensive power that I want to cover is Invulnerability. Damage dealt to this character is reduced by 2. So unlike Toughness, Toughness only reduces it by 1. Invulnerability, which is silver, reduces it by 2. So we'll have Sinestro punch Atrocitus. He does 4 damage. Atrocitus has Invulnerability, so he reduces it by 2. Sinestro does 4. Atrocitus blocks 2 of it, and Atrocitus would take 2 clicks of damage. So it's fairly simple, but Invulnerability is better than Toughness. Alright, so for the next defense ability, I'm going to cover Energy Shield Deflection. Modify the character's defense value by +2 against a ranged combat attack. So for the example here, I'll have Superman range attack on Green Arrow. The attack is a 10 and Green Arrow's defense is a 17 with Energy Shield Deflection. So if Superman shoots at Green Arrow, his defense will be +2, which will be a 19. So for Superman, he would actually probably want to charge in right here and make a close combat attack so he doesn't have to get affected by the +2 from range. So now he would be able to make a close combat attack and he would only have to deal with the 17. If he shoots, he'll have a 19 to shoot at. So that's basically energy shield deflection. One last thing that I want to cover with energy shield deflection, it's also affected by the rule of 3. You get +2 from range, but you also get +1 if you are standing in hindering terrain if he shoots. This is Superman, so he won't get the bonus, but if it's another character, say Red Tornado, he doesn't have the Superman team ability, so he is still affected by the hindering terrain. He would get a +3 from range because he has the 2 for energy shield deflection and +1 from standing in hindering terrain. Alright, so for my next defensive ability that I want to cover is Impervious. It's non-optional. When this character is dealt damage, roll a d6. On the result of 5 or 6, the damage dealt is reduced to 0. On a result of 1 through 4, the damage dealt is reduced by 1. So basically, what you have is invulnerability, but you have a chance to evade all damage if you roll a 5 or a 6. Where invulnerability reduces 2 damage, Impervious reduces 2 damage, but if you roll 5 or a 6, you evade all damage. The one thing I want to cover with this power, Super Senses is rolled before Impervious. Super Senses is a roll that you totally evade the attack. Impervious, you don't evade the attack, you evade the damage. Say you have a character that has 2 targets and they target someone with Impervious and a character with Super Senses. And you hit both of the characters. The character with Super Senses has to roll first to see if they evade the attack. If they do evade the attack, then you have to choose to do the damage to the character with Impervious, and then they get to roll their Impervious roll. If they miss their Super Senses roll, you can target any of the characters. Most likely you probably will give it to the character with Super Senses if they miss it because all the damage will go through. And Impervious, they at least will get to block 2 of the damage. For this example, I'm going to have Wonder Woman charge on Supergirl. She has a 12 attack on an 18 Impervious with Supergirl. You have a 12 attack. Say she hits, she only needs a 6, she does 5 damage, I'm not giving her a heavy object, if she did she would have to do 7 damage. She does 5 damage, she has Impervious, so she gets to roll a d6, she rolls a 5, so she rolls Impervious, she takes no damage. Say if she rolls a 1, she would take 5 damage and reduce it by 2, so she would take 3 clicks. And that's how you use Impervious. Alright, so the next defensive ability that I'm going to cover is Willpower. This character does not take pushing damage. As you can see here, Red Tornado has the Willpower. And I'm going to show you a little trick. You guys probably know this. But this Red Tornado is pretty gifted at getting away from people. I'm just going to show you a cool little trick with him if you're based with some character. And to use that Willpower to help you out. So the first thing we're going to do here is set the scenario up. I'm going to give Black Canary a token. So she moved up there to base Red Tornado. She has a token. So the first thing we're going to do is use Force Blast to push Black Canary away from Red Tornado. That would give him a token. And then that would throw her into the wall. But let me read it first. Force Blast. Give this character a power action and roll a d6. A single adjacent opposing character is knocked back from this character a number of squares equal to the result. So let's do that roll for Force Blast. I rolled a 4. She would get knocked back 1, 2 into the wall, taking damage. And there she is, takes the damage. I give him a token. Now she will clear. Normally he would have to clear, but he has Willpower, so what we're going to do now is push him to make a ranged combat attack on Black Canary. She has a 16 defense. Red Tornado has a 9 attack. And say he hits, he does 3 damage, and Black Canary takes 3 clicks of damage again. 1, 2, 3. And there, Red Tornado is with 2 tokens. Black Canary has to clear. Next turn, she can move up to him. He could clear. She would have to, you know, be with a token, and then you could do it all over again. So that is a pretty cool ability with Red Tornado, but the main defensive ability that I'm trying to cover here is Willpower. As you can give him a token, and you can give him a second token without taking any damage.